There once was a blacksmith, and he was a savant. Word fame of the marvels that he could make in the heat of his forge spread far and wide, and rightly so. There were blades of such temper they could hold an edge for years. Clockwork contraptions that boggled the mind, and jewelry of such fine filigree and delicate, beautiful settings that a queen once used one piece as her own ransom. People came from across the land and further to watch him work, to bid on his creations, and to beg apprenticeship, and he became known as the Prince of the Forge. And time passed. And the blacksmith woke one day to realize that he was not an old man, but no longer very young. And people came from far and wide to see him, but he had never left the valley in which he was born. And he was surrounded by those people all the time, but none of them really understood that spark of creation that was so a part of his soul, and so, despite being surrounded by people, he often felt alone. And realizing this, he packed a bag, he turned his forge over to his apprentices, and he set off. And he traveled far and wide. And sometimes he hid his identity, and sometimes he enjoyed the hospitality his reputation afforded him. And one day, coming out from the feasting hall, he saw on the ground, just next to the stairs, a lady's slipper made entirely of glass. And it was not just made of glass. It had swirls of color. It had ribbons and lace and gems, all made out of glass. He had no idea how such a thing could be made from glass. And he asked all around, and no one really knew anything about it. He tried trying it on people's feet, and it was too big for some, but too small for most. And finally, the lord of the feast hall said to him, we have no idea about this shoe, but caravans from the east do come through with amazing marvels all the time. And so east he went. He traveled across valleys and lands, and finally he crossed over a whole entire mountain. And on the other side, suddenly, people knew. He showed them the glass slipper, and they knew to expect him, because word had come ahead of him that the Prince of the Forge was traveling the land with a glass slipper, looking for who it belonged to, right? And they said, look, you want the orphan woman. Go across the valley into the forest, take the left-hand fork in the road, and you'll find her in her father's manor. So he did. And he approached the manor, knocked on the door, and there was no answer. So, thinking of his own home, he went around to the back, and there he saw a workshop. And entering in, it was not entirely like his own forge, but it was not entirely different either. And he saw her, a woman turning a bar of metal in a forge that was clearly a forge, not like he would use. And he walked in, and she looked up and saw him, and she saw the golden slipper in his hand. And she sighed, and she handed him the bar of metal and bid him turn it, while she took paddles and ladled colored beads and sand into a glowing blob on the end, and she blew into it, and she pulled the glass and stretched it and shaped it until the slipper had found its mate. And setting them both on the table, she said, "If you are looking for the woman who can wear these, she does not exist." And the blacksmith said, "I see that. These are not shoes. They are marvels. I was not looking for a woman to wear them. I was looking for the person who made them. And the Prince of the Forge and that orphan woman across the valley lived happily ever after.
Well done.